Hello, this is Eric Pepke again, and this is only my second YouTube video that I have am recording after having been physically, but not virtually, released from prison. I'm going to use a different kind of cinema verite this time and give you a little show and tell about what prison is like. I will eventually get to things that you will need to know about, namely the lifetime appointment of federal judges. All right, let's start here. These are my prison glasses. They don't work, but I persuaded the optometrist to give me these shades that go darker. You will see the repair made from a paperclip and epoxy, which I was only able to do after I got to the halfway house and was able to buy paper clips and epoxy. Now, I have been given an examination at federal cost, but they won't pay for glasses. And so I'll have to put up with not having glasses because I only have a few of my Trump bucks left to do stuff after prison until I die on the streets. And I want to thank the Prison Policy Initiative for putting forth the lawsuit that made the IRS give us our Trump bucks, which I got very late, but that's another story. This is a container of orange juice. This is from breakfast at the halfway house. It's free. When I was in federal prison, I never had any oranges, or I never had any orange juice, and only once was there an orange. And this was an arbitrary decision by the warden of the prison not to allow any citrus because somebody might make hooch out of it. This is a nice little face mask that I got at NC Works organization, ncsecondchance.org. I think they're good, but one of their members, that is the Step Up Ministry, is doing naughty things, and I have to investigate that before I can really endorse them. Now, I want to tell you that I had no idea there were any people outside that would help with reentry or cared at all. And one of the reasons is that Hinda Helps, hindahelps.com, the Hinda Institute, sent me many months before I was released, or at least a few months, a packet of information. They had a lawyer or paralegal or somebody like that send that legal mail, but the prison just failed to deliver it to me. As a result, I spent several months in abject terror. I am looking at how I can prosecute lawsuits for that, which I might be able to do because I'm no longer subject to restrictions in prison. So that's that. This is a face mask that I want to paint yellow because it looks like a duckbill, and I want to go around being Daffy Duck. I like Donald Duck too. I don't like Mickey Mouse so much, but you know Donald and Daisy were getting it on. There's just too much tension in that relationship not to have happen. This was given to me actually because I went to NC Works that has a subgroup called CSI, not the CSI you see on the TV, but a remarkably similar simulacrum. And I schmoozed with them a lot. It pays to schmooze. And just voluntarily, they gave me a bunch of masks and a bunch of clothes in a really nice stewardess bag with wheels. So, good people. These are my prison headphones. I have gotten 2 compliments on these. These are $10 headphones by Koss, and they're amazingly good, actually. They play the In This Moment songs pretty loud. And I love getting compliments on these headphones because then I can start a conversation about prison. I'm very, very open about it and whatever. This is my prison MP3 player. It cost a lot of money, $80. But you have to have an MP3 player because of the FM radio in it, which is the only way to listen to news on television, or of course NPR. It doesn't work anymore because it requires regular renewal for the in order to be usable and to be identified on the prison kiosks. Obviously, I don't have a prison kiosk or asked availability of one. Now, apparently, you can pay some people $5 to jailbreak it, so to speak, but I don't want to do that because I could use the $5 to survive a little bit longer. Now, on this are some songs which I bought primarily with my 14 cents per hour prison job, and they all have mythological meaning to me. One of the songs is a Frank Zappa song called Penis Dimension. And I got this just so that I could imagine making YouTube videos and pushing the penis button. So I could say, Little Willie Clinton before he stumbled on his, and push the button. Bill O'Reilly before he tripped over his own, and push the button. I haven't been able to do that because I don't have access to technology. Speaking of technology, I'll talk about this phone. This is the cheapest possible flip phone I could find at Walmart. I'm only allowed to have flip phones at the halfway house. When I am actually released, I am subject to the will of the supervised release officer for the rest of my life. Before I get into that, here's a prison blanket, jail blanket. It is as uncomfortable as it sounds. So, a little bit about judges now. This is the only part of my legal research, not including the stuff about my ongoing habeas corpus motion under 28 U.S.C. 2241. More about this later. So, they could make it so that I can't use computers or the internet for the rest of my life. Now, the Supreme Court addressed this in a case called Packingham, blah, blah, blah. And it said, in sum, to foreclose access to social media altogether is to prevent the user from engaging in the illegitimate exercise of First Amendment rights. It is unsettling to suggest that only a limited set of websites can be used, even by persons who have completed their sentences. So, I have lifetime supervised release, and I will always be under sentence so they can do what they want. And even if the Supreme Court were stronger about this, judges ignore the Supreme Court, and they ignore precedent. You will see a lot of stuff under many good videos, including the esteemed and pressed Steve Leto of Leto's Law, saying that they have to obey precedent. No, they don't. Federal judges don't have to read anything. They can do absolutely anything they like, and they do, and what they like is always, or almost always, bad. And one of the problems with this is that you can't get rid of a federal judge. And that's what I'm going to move on to now, the actual law behind this. Now, everybody knows federal judges are appointed for life. Well, not everybody. I've talked to a couple of people who didn't. And the people who didn't know are actually right. If you look at the Constitution, which I can't show you because I don't have one. I got a really nice one from the Cato Institute, but I spilled pancake syrup on it and they wouldn't give me a new one. And I don't have it anymore. So if you look at the Constitution, what it says is that federal judges cannot be gotten rid of, or they keep their offices, quote, during good behavior, unquote. Now, how do we get from during good behavior to life? During good behavior sounds completely reasonable. It means you can't fire them for political reasons. You can't lay them off. You got to have a reason. They have to have behaved badly. And the answer is that judges decided this. There is much case law about this, and I just picked this one. It's not the best because it's not the most recent, but it's particularly clear. United States versus Nathaniel P. Cozen, 1 Hay and Has, 37, and I said D.C. Circuit, 1841. What's Hay and Has? Well, it's the name of a document. Why is it Hay and Has? I don't know. They had funny names back then. One of them was Wheat. So you see a number, then you see Wheat, and you see another number. And all lawyers know what this is, but nobody else does, except for me. Quote, there was no vacancy in the judgeship, and that the appointment of Nathaniel P. Cozen as judge of the Orphans Court of the County of Washington, District of Columbia, was during good behavior, or, in other words, for life. Now think about that for a while. First of all, notice this is very strong. He's not just saying we interpret good behavior as for life. He's saying those are other words for life. But are they? Let's say you had a kid, and your kid wanted to play with his Xbox Aleph Null or whatever it is, and you say, okay, little green bean, you can play with your video games as long as you behave. And your kid says, great. In other words, for life. I can't do my fist. All right. And this is my prison watch, given to me by Poirot. And I won't say anything more about that. All right. Nobody would take this kind of idiotic statement seriously if it weren't a judge. The sine qua non of a judge is that they can and do make completely idiotic statements completely arbitrarily. Now, if you disagree with this, it's your responsibility. Have you ever written any legislator about this? All they would have to do is pass simple legislation defining good behavior and stating a procedure for getting rid of a judge who doesn't have it. But the American people don't care. They only care about which side wins, like a football game. Oh, I'm for the Repugnocrats. No, the Repugnocrats are bad. I always vote for the Repugnocrats. And they do this with Supreme Court justices, too. They don't care about the law. They don't care about the Constitution. They only care about which side is on. So let me talk about my legal research. In prison, a copy of something you get on the electronic law library costs 15 cents. I did not usually have 15 cents. Remember, I only made 14 cents an hour, so an hour of labor wiping tables was not enough to get me a single photocopy. I did not have any money coming in because every single one of the people I imagined were friends abandoned or betrayed me. Some sent me some money, and there was an ex-prisoner who sent me more money than anybody else, about $300, and I used it to do important stuff, including replace my MP3 player after the old one got wet. So I want to say, if you're out there and you knew me before 2015 and you didn't write me then, I do not want to hear about you. I do not want to hear from you. I do not even want to think about you. Unless you owe me money, which some people do, or owe me goods, and unless I owe you money, don't contact me. I will treat you very badly. You made a decision that my entire life was not worth the price of a single postage stamp, and I do not value you any higher than you value me. That felt good. Now, I almost wasn't able to carry this stuff out of prison. That's because my counselor, pretty impressive title, Neil R. Price, threatened to confiscate it from me. And the reason was not authorized for inmate retention. If you will look at this closely, you will see this is Unicor. This is the Unicor prison industry. We had a print shop, or there was a print shop there. Now, under an Obama-era law, they printed comic books for sale on the open market. They printed, well, they actually just cut Estee Lauder advertising cards. I sent a letter about this to Oprah Winfrey, having saved up my stamps for certified mail. And, of course, she didn't respond to me. Hey, why should Oprah Winfrey care about slavery? It's totally ridiculous idea. So let's say something about Neil Price. Well, he filed a lawsuit. And here are the citations. I'm not going to bother reading them. The Lexis is not great. It's actually not the Fourth Circuit, it's a district court, but I was unclear about the distinctions then. And here's another one. This is against Loretta Lynch, who is probably not the Loretta Lynch you know, but an amazing simulacrum. And I shall read from this. Well, first of all, let's start like this. His claim was, as a heterosexual Caucasian, open parenthesis, white male, I am being discriminated against by the agency known as the United States Department of Justice. So he's one of those. Here's what the judge had to say. Occasionally, judges do good things, but not very commonly. The 64-page complaint lacks coherence and contains sprawling assertions in want of linear connection, factually or legally. All right, that's the kind of people who work for prison. Now, there's another thing. A little Willie Clinton era law which says that before you can sue, you have to exhaust the grievance process. And that's almost impossible. First of all, the law requires you to try to solve it informally first. You have to follow, but the prison, many prisons do this, make a form for solving it informally. And they play various tricks so that you will be late on the first form, which is the second form, which has to be filed, I believe, 20 days after the incident. Now, everybody thinks that you file it 20 days after they refuse or ignore the BP-8, which is the bogus informal form. But no, you have to be on time. You've got to file that. If that fails, you got to file a regional appeal, and if that fails, you have to file a national appeal, and you also have to fill out a form called SF-95, which everybody says is a tort claim, but isn't. But here's what the people who work for your prison, what their level of intelligence is. On June 17, 2014, Dorsey, EEO counselor, emailed Price the EEO forms needed to start the informal counseling process, blah, blah, blah. She instructed Price to review, sign, and send the completed forms back to her within 7 business days. Price never returned the forms, never followed through with informal counseling, and never filed an EEO complaint regarding these allegations. Price also never filed a Merit System Protection Board, MSB, appeal. Now, I frankly doubt that Price has any evidence that he's a heterosexual male, because I seriously doubt that he has been able to see his, and here I push the penis button, for decades. Now, I could go on, and I usually do, but I'm just going to stop here. This is enough. Take care, and try remembering your civic responsibilities every once in a while, like on voting day.